Get ready, everyone, and you just might survive. Ruben and Jason are here with their X-Men deep dive. Going through all the X-books is their mission, so get ready for the Learned Edition. Things are getting weird in here. Ruben hopes another sword book gets announced this year. It's the Weird Dose of X, the X-Men comic show. It's the Weird Dose of X, guaranteed. It's the Weird Dose of X, guaranteed not to blow, except your mind. It's the Weird Dose of X, the X-Men comic show. It's the Weird Dose of X, guaranteed not to blow, except your mind.
Welcome all you weirdos, angry Zoovembis, and everyone who would be more than happy to be married to more than one rogue. It is time to receive your 171st Weird Dose of X, the mutant member of your Weird Science podcast family. I am your emotionless diamond form host, Jason, broadcasting as always from the Wrong Turn studio, perched high atop stately Weird Science Tower. And joining me is a man whose backyard features a 60-foot tall stone statue of Abigail Brand. It's my pal Ruben. Hey Ruben, how the heck are you?
I'm good, but I'm fearing the comeuppance you're going to get when Jim complains about the audio quality on my speaker, because I'm recording from my house again, and it never works out when I do that.
Well,
but he does a great job editing it. I can never tell the difference when I listen back to the podcast. But sorry, Jim, in advance.
Well, let's hope the sucking up works, and it might. Hey, Jim, please accept that in advance. As we record, Ruben, we're a few hours away from ALCS Game 7.
Yeah, I don't want to think about that or talk about it.
You don't want to think about that? No. Wow. Not very yes and of you here in the podcast. You're already bummed out about the baseball in advance. You're in Game 7. This should be exciting.
Yeah. Given where it started and where we are at, like, the momentum does not feel with the Mariners at all.
You're one game away from the World Series. That should be an exciting place to be, no matter what else is going on. But
we also have to remember baseball is not really my sport. My
Yeah.
interest in this baseball outcome is more about the mood of the city. I don't need a bunch of miserable people walking around tomorrow.
You don't want like traffic when there's like a World Series parade getting your way. That'll just be awful.
Well, no, that's great. I like
shops.
I like happy people. So I would be very happy if we made it, but I'm dreading what it'll be like when we don't. So I don't know.
By the time people hear this, they'll know whether or not, who's in the World Series against the Dodgers. It'll either be the Blue Jays or it'll be the Mariners. And as a loyal American, that's pretty much why I'm rooting for the Mariners, I gotta say. Nothing against Toronto, but, waving the flag over here.
My 8-year-old daughter's rooting for the Blue Jays just because she likes birds, and it's driving us crazy. My wife and I are like, those family were like, you're pissing everybody off. Like, I don't understand what's going on.
That's actually typically how we do things in our household. When we don't have a rooting interest, we'll root for the bird team just because we are very bird focused people in various ways. But yeah, for me at least, the U.S. versus Canada question trumps the birds.
Yeah. The only upside, and this is a lot of nonsense, but I am going out to see a concert tonight. Ludovico Einaudi, who's an Italian modern composer.
Okay.
So it's but the reason this is exciting is it's like a date night with my wife, and we haven't had one of those for like 7 years. So we actually have a babysitter and everything. It's pretty amazing. Normally we just kind of only get to peel off from the family when her parents are in town. But now that my sister lives here,
sweet,
she can watch the girls.
New era.
Yep, new era.
And speaking of new eras, transition, we are in a new era of X-Men comics, at least for the next couple months. So today we will be talking about 4 Age of Revelation new number 1s. These are Unbreakable X-Men number 1, which is the new version of Uncanny for the moment, Sinister's 6 number 1, Iron and Frost number 1, and Rogue Storm number 1. But first, as always, at least for one more week, we are going to talk about the Infinity comic, which is Astonishing X-Men Infinity comic number 41, That Ye Be Not Judged, Part 3, written by Tim Seeley with Alex Packnadel, Art by Philip Sevi, colors by Michael Bartolo, and letters by, of course, Clayton Coles. So chaos has broken out at Morphling's trial. He's on trial for trying to nuke the entire world. We've got two concurrent fights going on. Outside the courthouse, we have Banshee versus the Executioner, and inside we have Husk versus some rando pro-Executioner guard who has turned himself into a werewolf. So the inside fight leans heavily into the mutants as minority thing, with the werewolf guy resenting that mutants get special treatment, and Hulk leading into the whole we're so oppressed thing. Now, to me, it seems very much like a grass is greener situation where both sides have unrealistic views about how good it is to be the thing that they're not. I don't think that's how Celia and Pagnell want me to take it. I think I'm supposed to be 100% or at least 99% on the mutant side here, but maybe I'm not feeling it. A weird bit happens at the end of this fight, and maybe you can tell me what's going on here, Ruben. Because Husk puts on this C.C. Werblowski disguise that we've seen before. Again, we're looping back to the beginning because we're wrapping this whole situation up. But her words say that, this is me deciding I'm going to stop trying to be other people and I'm just going to be myself. I did not get this at all. What point is trying to be made here? I don't follow the logic.
Yeah. I think the artist maybe missed a transformation back to Page as Page. I read that as well and thought it was a really weird kind of conversation. Because she has this conversation about how she enjoyed being CC because the CC podcaster could just be herself and that was enough.
Mm-hmm.
But then she wants the hulked out guard guy to fight CC Werblowski.
But even that doesn't really work because CC Werblowski is not just some ordinary human being, right? She has to be the influencer persona. So even that didn't quite work for me. I don't know. So at this point, just to interrupt our confusion, Morphling pops up to punch the Wolfman in the nose anyway. I did really like the art choice here of having all these 4 different overlapping forms of him there. You got Changeling, Morph, Kevin, the regular human being kind of look, and then that goofy cartoon dog, all kind of mixed together. Looks neat, emphasizing the multiple natures within this guy.
Maybe, can I pause you for a second? As I'm reading this diatribe or whatever that Paige goes into, maybe right after this saying that you're going to see the true person beneath, she was just about to rip the CC Werblowski
that would be a good
version
video.
off.
That'd work in the art, but that's not what the art does.
Yeah, they probably should have had her put her hands up to her face or something, getting ready to Husk. That. I think that would have made more sense. But anyways, yeah, it doesn't.
So Morphling punches the Wolfman guy, and Morphling also confirms here that he's been hearing a voice telling him to do bad things, which we know is Cassandra Nova. We've seen that before. Is this maybe a reveal to the other characters?
I mean, if it is, it's subtle, right? I wouldn't get that. I'd be oh, you're crazy. You're hearing voices. I wouldn't be oh my God, obviously it's Cassandra Nova.
Speaking of hearing voices, I'm hearing my own voice come back through the line. Are you... You're not having me on speaker or anything there, are you?
I hope not.
It's like when the guy calls into the sports radio and listens to himself on the radio and the host yells at him.
Give me a second and see.
Okay, I'll hit pause here. Now let's head to that outside fight between Banshee and the Executioner, Carl Denty. Denty has this grip around Skin's throat, lifting him up in the air. The art on this actually looks really cool. It's using those very long, oversized, tall panels that you can get on the digital medium by scrolling, so I'm in favor of that. Denty's also wearing a helmet that he says protects him from Banshee's, sound shenanigans. Denty says that his goal is war between humans and mutants, which, very cliche, seen it a million times. The writers have Banshee and Skin call out that the plan is a cliche, but that doesn't make it not a cliche, right, Ruben? It's still yes, we know we're kind of being a hack here, but we're calling ourselves hacks, but you're still kind of hacks. The fight ends when Banshee suggests to Denty that he might be under the influence of, quote, something he hates, a mutant. So maybe I'm confused here, but I thought Denty knew he was working with Cassandra Nova. Was it always just her influencing him the whole time?
I thought that was a very on Front Street alliance as well, but apparently not. I mean, I don't care enough about the story enough to go back and check all the scenes, but I definitely in my mind recall them having a conversation. But was it always just him kind of just hearing a voice? That was not what I thought was happening.
That's what Nova's been doing this whole time with Changeling and with Juggernaut and with Black Tom, right? That's been her whole, modus operandi. So maybe it was with him too. I thought they just, we're on opposite sides, but we both want war. So let's get together and, we'll try to kill each other once the war starts, but first we got to get the war going. But apparently not. So Denty is so just upset by this mere suggestion that I think his mask falls off. Is that what happens? It just disappears. Where does his mask go?
Yeah, I don't
and then
know.
Once the mask is gone,
maybe he takes it off. Maybe it's like he's so shocked.
Maybe
but I don't know why you take your mask off.
Yeah. Especially when you just announced that your mask and helmet is what's protecting you from the sound guy's sound attacks. So now we get a brand new ability from Banshee, an ultra low frequency sound that resets Denty's brain and evicts Cassandra Nova from it. So I guess that's the fight over. Now again, the art on that one little scene there with Cassandra Nova being evicted from the brain looks really neat. I mean, that would be a cool panel even in a physical comic. To have it in the level of the digital comic is nice to see. I really think that the art in this whole chapter is really what it has going for it here. We have lots of those unusually tall panels. We have some kind of extreme angles. Looks very cool, fun to look at, but the actual plot and dialogue seems very perfunctory, very cliche. Like, oh yeah, we got to wrap this whole thing up, so let's do some callbacks. Let's have everybody declaring that they're happy being, free to be you and me. I'm glad to be myself. The chapter does end with a to be concluded, which I suspect means that next week might wrap up this entire volume of the Astonishing X-Men Infinity comic.
Yeah, they got to get ready for
42
for
chapters.
The books they're writing, right?
Say again, please.
The two writers, I guess the artist and the writer, they have books coming up, so they probably have to pack it up and start focusing on the...
Yeah, both writers, Tim Seeley
floppy,
and Alex Pactadell, have actual books announced coming out, so it does seem that it's probably finishing this up. So, I don't know if we'll get another kind of Infinity comic after that, or if we'll take some time away from the Infinity comics, but we will see next time. Now we'll move on.
Normally I would say I really want this to keep going, but since we're getting 4 books a week for the foreseeable future, I would be okay if we drop the Infinities.
It's all right. Yeah, we'll keep going as long as it goes, and if it starts up with something new, well, we'll figure out if it's worth.
I'm saying we will continue to record it. It's not that it's bad. I'm just saying Marvel, if they want to do me a solid, they can they could just cut back one book to record.
4 books is plenty, and now let's turn to one of those 4 books for this week. Our first real book this week is Unbreakable X-Men #1 of 3, Guarding the Gate. This is, of course, the Age of Revelation version of Uncanny, and as such, it's written by Gail Simone, art by Lucas Werneck, we like him, letters by Clayton Coles. So we have a pair of books this week that are centered around particular relationships. We'll get to Tony and Emma later on, but for now, this book is really centrally about Gambit's relationship with Rogue, with all the other characters in supporting roles. Only 3 issues for a whole series. I can see why it's tempting and probably a really good idea to focus in a little bit. Now, there's only, 60 pages total for this whole story, so let's pick a focus. That makes sense. But we are going to list all the characters first. So we have Rogue and Gambit, naturally, although technically the Rogue in this book is not the full Rogue. But that'll be a whole thing we'll get to, but Gail Simone ignores what Marewa Iodelli is doing in Rogue and Rogue Storm, so
I know.
For now we'll ignore it too.
I was kind of surprised by the split.
Yeah, we'll talk all about that later. Not really great evidence of strong communication inside the office. A little disappointing, but we'll get there. Next up, we have Ransom and Temper. Now, Ruben, I think I messed up last week. I think last week I said that there was a budding interbook romance between Ransom of the Uncannies and Melee of the Exceptionals.
Yeah, I'm going to went along with it. I couldn't remember the code names, but in my brain, I knew who you were talking about.
Right, I think that's what I said, but that was obviously wrong. What I was half remembering was this romance we saw developing between Ransom, yes, but with Temper of the Alaskans. I always call her Temper because her real first name is Idie, and I never remember how to say it. So I'm just going with Temper. In this version of the future, remember we're 10 years ahead from the now, Ransom and Temper are married and have a kid, a boy named Clay, and Ransom is now leader of this group of X-Men. At least we're told he's the leader. He doesn't really seem to be acting like the leader. Rogue kind of takes over, but
Yeah, this was the first point, too, where I was just kind of like, really? It's kind of fast to turn over the reins of leadership.
10 years is a pretty long time, but if you're going to say he's the leader, have him act like the leader.
Mm-hmm.
Unless that's part of the story, and maybe it was. Okay, next
Seems more like Rogue and Gambit just don't want to deal with it. Like everyone knows they're in charge, but they're like, I don't got time for this
like
crap.
When there's like meetings or Zoom calls, you're the leader, you have to do it. But when it comes time to fighting, sure.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, next up is Dome, Chelsea St. Jr.'s daughter of Marcus and Alice. She's a mutant. We knew about that. We learned that in Uncanny number 10, when Nightcrawler saw that she had these force field powers, kind of like Sue Storm, although she's been hiding those powers from her parents. She'd even said in that issue she wanted eventually to be called Dome, so she gets her wish here. We don't know what happened to her parents, though, because we're told she's the only surviving member of the family, so we don't know even if they ever found out that their kid was a mutant. Next up, we have Spider-Girl. Now, there's a ton of Spider-Girls in Marvel history, but this is the newest Spider-Girl, Makawalo Akana. She is a mutant with the power to copy other powers, kind of like a Nerf version of Sync. But for plot-related reasons, she took on Spider-Boy powers and kind of got stuck there. And finally, blink and you'll miss him, we have Sentinel Boy. We don't know who this is. It just looks like a human-sized, maybe a little bit bigger than human-sized Sentinel.
It's got to be Justin Seifert.
I mean, we want it to be Justin Seifert of that.
I just really want it to be Justin Seifert. So don't tell me it's not Justin Seifert. It's 100% Justin Seifert.
Well, I mean, he gets killed off really, really quick here. Spoiler alert, I guess, but he comes off really young seeming, talking about, tell my mom I love her, or tell my mom I wasn't a coward, or something like that effect. I don't remember Justin having that mom connection so much. I don't remember. Maybe I'm misremembering. And again, he'd be significantly older in the future. So it didn't seem like Justin to me, but again, he dies in like 2 panels, so who the hell knows? Why? Don't even know why he was in here.
I know, it's like weird. I think I have a theory.
Just because they needed to kill somebody off to make the stakes seem higher, so they had to put somebody in so they could kill him off and make it. Oh no, our fight is so tough now. What's your theory?
A slightly less pragmatic theory.
Tell me.
So in Age of Apocalypse, we had a couple of like new breakout characters, right? You had what was her name? Blink.
Right.
And
she's the one I think of.
Yeah. I think there's like maybe 1 or 2 others. Dark Beast, I guess, would be another one.
Okay.
And the what's his name? Sugar Man.
Sure.
So my theory here is that either it's a mandate or kind of a goal of some of these writers to deliver like here's that character from this series that's going to be like seminal and kind of like carry forward.
Then why would you kill him off in 2 panels? Is the thing. I mean,
with Sentinel Boy, I mean, it could just be a mandate, right? Like, you must include a new character. Because when we get to like a few of the other ones, I have a bunch
of like the malicious compliance. Okay, I'll put him in. Oh, now he's dead. Uh-oh.
Yeah, I've started identifying like every one is like, oh, this character doesn't exist, right? They're new to the Age of Revelation.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like almost too many to be like a coincidence.
But one neat thing you could do in a flash forward timeline that's going to be erased is you could reveal things about the characters or about other characters who are revealed here that then become something when this is eventually erased that we're kind of waiting to happen in the real universe, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe we'll see a Sentinel Boy appear in the 616 outside of this going forward, and we'll go, oh yeah, he was that guy who went out so easily in this one. Okay, so those are the characters. We start off not 10 years in the future, but 7 years in the future. So with doing the math, that's 3 years before the Scott from the past ends up in the body of Scott from the future. So we're outside of the Revelation territories. We're in Louisiana at Haven House, which even 10 years in the future is still just outside Revelation territories. And we start in medias res, as they say, probably incorrectly pronounced there in Greek, where we're in the middle of a fight. And Ruben, who is attacking Haven House here as we begin this series?
Yeah, this is the part where I started saying, really? This is a little stretched, and where I thought Gail Simone maybe misunderstood the assignment, or just, it takes me out of the overall storyline of this. But anyway, so to answer your question, it's Galactus. It's
Galactus.
What? I mean, I don't need Galactus to make this story seem important, right? We have Doug Apocalypse. That that felt pretty big, right? I just felt like they could have come up with any other like crisis event.
Right. And I don't like the way Galactus gets used. He should be huge. I mean, any story Galactus is in, the focus of that story should be it's freaking Galactus. Where here, he's just a plot contrivance to make some stuff happen.
Yeah, the only thing when I was trying to like make this better in my brain, I was like, okay, well, we know the Fantastic Four is dead, right? We saw that earlier.
Right. They went out pretty quickly.
Yeah, and then in Iron and Storm, you see the Avengers, or well, not Iron and Storm, Iron and Frost, you see the Avengers are pretty roughed up as well, if not like focused on other things. And then even in Rogue Storm, you see like the broken Mjolnir, so I assume there's no Thor. So it's like, okay, well, maybe the point is there's not really anyone else that is here to deal with this problem, or even sort of like early warning detection. So I guess he could just show up.
Okay.
But what takes me out of it again is when it's like they find out why he's here and he's like trying to get Dome to become his herald. I'm like, are you effing kidding me?
Yeah,
like,
it's
that's the character you're going to recruit? Like, of all the characters?
He's coming to Haven House, like, directly there. So it's not like our characters go out and fight him in random space. He's coming directly to Haven House. And at first, Ransom, who's allegedly in charge, assumes that he's there for Shuvarak, that kind of cosmic god who's been guarding that weird little mini afterlife there underneath the ground. And then it turns out, no. Galactus says, yeah, I'm there for that kid, for Dome. And then they keep fighting, whereas, this kid lives on a pretty crappy version of Earth right now, right? As far as, taking a gig being the Herald of Galactus and flying around all of space for a while, that's a pretty sweet gig, I think. I consider
you just take it. You take it. Let's not have this fight. Let me see the proposal. We can do some negotiations.
Yeah, I mean, with a little contract, some days off, some benefits, a little retirement package.
I want a signing bonus.
Sure, why not? Especially since the alternative, you're going to keep trying to kill all my friends here on Earth. Right? I think we can make a deal here, but that's not what they do. They keep on fighting. And the final moment of the fight, well, this is where Sentinel Boy gets killed kind of in the background. I think they say he pops. Pretty gross. Rogue flies up to Galactus, and she has some little caption saying that she's been getting stronger with age. So then she uses her power-absorbing power to absorb, I guess, the whole power cosmic from Galactus.
I mean, at least she's wearing greenish armor, so we can say this is, now that we're going to call her Rogue Green and Rogue Red.
Mm-hmm.
Or you're not going to do that, I'm going to call her Rogue Green, because I think it's hilarious that
the wiki calls her Rogue Green. This book treats her like she's just regular Rogue. And, sure, she can absorb powers. It is 10 years in the future. They did have that one throwaway line about her getting stronger, but still, come on. It's Galactus.
Yeah.
So there's some kind of
I love me some Rogue. I think she's tough, but when I watched this, I was like, really? Like, she could just go up and take the power of Galactus?
No,
I mean, the scale of this guy is, like, ridiculous, right? Like, it makes me kind of think, like, if this is almost as bad as if you had Thanos with the Infinity Gauntlet and she just goes up and, like, drains him.
Yeah.
Like, this character is too strong and too big for a street level character like Rogue to
argue the other side. He's not fully out of it forever, right? We do see he is kind of he's shaken up for, I guess, 3 years, because we then see him later on in the ocean with his eyes start to glow again, which is universal comic language for, he's awake now. So, and she does suffer for it. She gets turned into this giant 60-foot sculpture of herself with Galactus horns, which is an odd combination. But so she's stuck there as a statue, apparently dead, right there in the backyard of Haven House.
I do laugh at the idea of like Galactus just ignoring her because he's like, I'm just a gnat to him, and then she like trains him.
Mm-hmm.
What a dope. So that expression on his face, I guess he kind of got his comeuppance for not paying attention to the threat.
I did like this next page, too, where we see Lucas Werneck doing those 4 stacked panels of time passing, where you see almost at the beginning it's like a funeral with people visiting from the other books. You see Scott and Beast, and then you see people growing up and babies being born around him. So that's kind of neat. And he goes blind over the course of 3 years. I don't know. I know he has weird eyes, so I don't know if that's what we connect to is his weird red eye situation. But
yeah, I wondered about that, too. I was like, what's the basis for the, loss of vision?
Mm-hmm. Now, symbolically, it's supposed to be about him retreating within himself, right? The light has gone out of his world because his wife is dead. So he's kind of closing everything out. And And the blindness is kind of symbolic as that. So I can take it on a literary kind of view. And again, the way it's drawn looks very neat. I appreciate that. And he goes out there and visits Rogue, the giant sculpture in the backyard, every day and talks to her, which, is kind of sweet. So now he gets a visitor. It's Henrietta Benjamin, that historical figure who guards the dark artery that plays in between the real world and the penumbra. And the first thing that he does is he gives her a costume change. She shows up dressed in the same 1920s kind of clothing that she's always been in. But Gambit asks Temper to, quote, go to my room and pick something from my wife's armoire. And in the next panel, Henrietta is wearing a sexy low-cut black dress. What? Why did they do this costume? Gail Simone loves costume changes, right? When they went into the dark artery, everybody had to dress up like a goth exploded on them. It's a very strange choice here. Do you have any idea what is going on here? Why the blind guy wants this 1930s chick to be dressed up in his dead wife's sexiest dress?
I don't think he's actually blind. I think he's like, that looks good. How about you go put this on, slip into something a little nicer? Don't worry about
getting changed in front of me. I'm blind. I can't see anything. Just go right. I'll just sit right here. I won't make a noise. I know. Gambit, you slide on.
It's super creepy. Like, that's got to be a musty old dress, too. It's been sitting there for 10 years.
Mothballs and such.
Yeah. Like, it's not getting washed, right? I mean, he keeps it because he's, still in love with Statue Rogue, and I guess it's the Marvel Universe, so maybe he's thinking, like, at some point she'll come back and she'll need some clothes, but...
You don't think he has, like, morph visit and put on the dress, and we don't want to know what's going on in the rest of that scene? Anyway. So
in general, too, the idea of just being able to put on somebody else's clothes and, like, you're the exact same size and they fit perfectly, I always find that weird.
Yeah, well,
but this is bizarre. Like, go put on my dead wife's... Go put on my dead wife's clothes.
It's all unstable molecules. Sexy, unstable molecules. So, sexy Henrietta here is not just on to put on a cleavage show for the blind guy. She's here to say, there's a problem. Shuvrak has been asleep for, quote, the past 2 years, but now she's awake. Which seems backwards, because if Shuvrak is asleep, shouldn't that mean that things are going wrong in the penumbra? And then when she wakes up, they should get better? Because she has a job
That's
there?
An interesting question. Maybe Shuvrak has, like, keys, and it's like, it locked the door. And when it woke up, it unlocked the door. I hear what you're saying. You're saying basically, like,
shit should have gone wrong.
It was the Guardian to
keep
the tortured souls in.
Right.
In it's not the Dark Artery, whatever it's called, the realm that they're
Penumbra.
in. Penumbra, yeah. But maybe you need a Shuvrak to be awake to open or close the door to the Penumbra.
Now, we know that, or we suspect that Galactus has contacted Shuvrak. They made a kind of a visual connection there when his eyes started glowing again. So it must be the thing that Ransom thought was happening, but then wasn't happening, is now happening, which is clunky.
I think it's more like you've got Galactus depowered with like just a tiny spark of life left, laying in the Louisiana swamp. I mean, I guess I don't know where Galactus fell. Like, it seems like he fell.
He disappeared. It must be the ocean, somebody pretty deep.
I think he just fell backwards, and he's like in some nasty bayou swamp. Yeah, and for some reason nobody moved the Galactus that's laying around
down there with Swamp Thing.
Yeah, but I think like Shuvrak feels this energy and then wakes up and then drains the rest of the energy into it, and then is like, I don't need to be like guarding this Penumbra anymore.
We know she wanted out.
Part of the problem with this story for me is just that they didn't really do a good job of explaining what Shuvrak was. We just heard it was a cosmic being that somehow was inhabiting this Penumbra but didn't want to be there.
And Henrietta
was kind of guarding it, but not really.
Earth mutant girl who set up the Penumbra, and maybe they're the same person, or maybe they're not. It felt like the story changed issue to issue, like it was being retconned as it went on.
Yeah,
which maybe is connected with the whole Endling thing having been changed at the last second as well.
Yeah, so I was like, this is kind of maybe the point of this is like, I was like, yeah, okay, this is my chance to finally clarify everything with this part of that story. In which case, like, okay, this is doing something, but yeah, so far it's just as convoluted as before.
Okay, so now we get the second action scene of the book, which now that Shuvrak has woken up, I guess she's angry now, and angrier than usual, and she's set loose all of those damned souls from her afterlife, who remember were people who did bad things to their own mutant relatives. So it's basically a zombie movie attack. And Gambit calls them Zuvembis, which confused me, so I Googled it. Are you familiar with the history of Zuvembis? It sounds like a new, weird-looking doll craze, but no. So the first use of that word goes back to 1938 in the Weird Tales comic book, in a story written by Robert E. Howard, the Conan the Barbarian guy. And then later on, during the Comics Code, Marvel was told that they couldn't use the word zombies, so they used the word Zuvembi as like a workaround. I don't know why Gail Simone now has Gambit use that word, but that at least I learned a little history.
It's like an exhaustive deep dive.
That's what I did.
It's like an exhaustive deep dive.
Shut up. So that's Zuvembis, folks. You've learned something. Back to the fight.
She's probably just delighted by the term, and she was like, "I need to throw this back in." But they're zombies.
But in context,
they're zombies.
What the hell? They're zombies. Except they're not really zombies, because zombies are dead bodies kind of without souls, and they should be more the opposite, the souls without bodies. They're more like ghosts, I would think.
Yeah.
They're
acting like zombies. Like, look at how they're climbing through the window. They're not
it's drawn
stepping
like
in
zombies,
like a normal person, yeah.
Back to the fight. Waffles, that sentinel dog, joins in, so he's still around. Gambit finally wins the fight by running outside and exploding like a whole deck full of cards around him, obliterating all of the Zuvembis of Penumbra. And that's where we end the issue, with a blind Gambit still mourning his dead wife. And it's one of those, I thought I was out of it, but I've got one last mission sort of a situation. He has to oppose both Shuvarak and Galactus.
Another weird thing about this scene is...
What's that?
We saw that Death Dream was at the Grey Malkin, right?
That's correct.
But he was like the only one that was really taking care of the Sentinel dog. But during the Zuvembi attack, the Sentinel dog is there at Haven House, and it attacks some of the Zuvembis.
Very true.
So he just leave the damn dog at like Haven House? He's like, whatever. And so who's been taking care of it since then?
Yeah, it does make you wonder what happened to reshuffle things so that even by 3 years in the past, 7 years in the future, he'd already left Haven House. Don't know. So I thought this was, despite some confusion, an okay issue. I appreciate the emotional stakes, right? Gambit, the blind widower, mourning his dead wife, and has to save his friends in this weird world. I am kind of glad that it's not particularly tied in with Doug and his story. I'm okay with another story being told in this world that's not super connected. Still don't think the whole Shuvarak, Henrietta, Penumbra situation really makes a whole lot of sense. So if Gail Simone's going to fix it, she'd better get on with things. Spider-Girl and Sentinel Lad feel like totally throwaway characters. I mean, maybe Spider-Girl is going to be meaningful going forward, but I don't know why they're even here. Again, I think maybe Sentinel Boy
Spider-Girl is here just so Matt can tell us that it's an X-Men book.
Well, I mean,
when I saw that, I was like, God damn it. He's right. It is an X-Men character.
Oh, yeah. So, art-wise, it's not the very, very best Lucas Werneck, right? It's not as ornate and impressive as like the first few issues of Storm. But even saying that, it's still a couple notches better than your average Marvel comic book. Gambit's new character design, I like a lot. And just generally the look of it looks a couple notches above what you might expect from something like this. It's the best looking book of the week for me. So maybe by the time this thing is over, I'll know a little more about Shuvarak, maybe make a little more sense to me. Probably not, but hey, we'll give it a shot. I'm going to give this issue of Unbreakable X-Men #1, we call it a 6.8 out of 10. That's fairly positive. How about you?
I'm in that range. Probably just a 6.5, but I could be talked up.
Fair enough.
I'm mostly down on this because it just arbitrarily has like way too big stakes added in for no reason.
The Galactus thing. You could have used somebody other than Galactus, but I know they wanted to take out Rogue. They want Rogue to be out of things so that Gambit can be sad widower. But they don't want to make her look like a dope, so they need her to be taken out by the biggest possible bad guy. But I think they went too big.
Yeah, I think they went too big as well.
Okay, well, that was Unbreakable X-Men. Now let's move on to another #1, which is Sinister's 6 #1, written by David Marquez, who has heretofore been basically just an artist. Not just an artist, I mean, not a writer. The art here is by Rafael Loureiro, and the letters are by Ariana Mayer. So, Ruben, tell us about Sinister's 6 #1.
Yeah, so this is already probably, as soon as you saw Sinister was involved, everyone was going to know this would be my favorite book this week. And it is. and I know you don't necessarily agree with me on this, but there are a lot of little details in here that I thought were pretty cool. And unlike the Unbreakable X-Men story that is sort of intentionally taking place outside of the Revelation territories, this one is taking place inside the Revelation territories, which I appreciate. I don't mind seeing some of the like what else is happening stories, but I'm more interested in my Age of Revelation books, being tied into the central plot to some extent. And I guess you're going to question like how central is this story?
Yeah, I'm a cynical guy who's read a lot of comic books, so I do not expect that anything real, as in anything important to the plot, is going to happen in this book, because I don't think they're counting on everyone reading it. So a tease, or there's a tease to that this virus getting cured.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen here, but I do think maybe this team will show up and fight Apocalypse at some point.
And that's what Sinister has hanging over this team, basically. That's why we have this wacky team get put together. That's why they're working for the bad guy, because he says that I can cure this virus.
Yeah. So let me take about the plot really quick. So it starts out, and we've got Misty Knight and Colleen Wing, the Heroes for Hire, wearing these sort of weird techno backpacks, and they're mapping the Revelation territories like upstate New York. Don't know who they're working for, but they're, I guess, just trying to see what everything looks like at this point.
Misty says at one point S.H.I.E.L.D. should be happy, so apparently they're working for whatever's left of S.H.I.E.L.D. Although why they're mapping upstate New York, where not a whole lot of Revelation stuff's going on, I don't really know why this data is important to S.H.I.E.L.D., but they just kind of need to be here for this action scene to happen.
And so initially I was like, oh god, these are humans, right? Like, why are they able to walk around, with no problem? And so I'm kind of thinking like, oh no, this is not going to be a great story. But they get attacked by Domino, who's got like an inverse black and white color scheme now, which is kind of weird.
She's a photo negative herself.
Yeah. So she like takes a shot and wounds Misty Knight, and then Black Cat jumps out, and she's now like a cat person.
She's totally got a fursona for sure.
Yeah. And I was okay with that for two reasons. One, we know that some humans don't get killed off by the X virus; they just get changed, right?
Yeah. And this is the first time we're seeing that on panel, which is pretty cool.
Yep, and she's also, her powers before were like luck-based, right? So the idea that she'd be one of the people that survives the X-Virus kind of makes sense to me.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about that, but it makes sense. Now that the person who calls herself Black Cat just happens to get turned into a cat, it's Marvel Comics. That's what's going to happen, right? If your name has a pun in it, that's who you become. Dr. Octopus just happens to get 8 arms. It's just how it works.
Yeah, she got a pretty good deal when you think of like what happened to Franklin Richards, right? Like,
okay,
she's not a horrible slug monster. She's just a cat furry person. So anyway, so she's now attacking, and I'm thinking like, oh man, are these characters going to get killed off? Because it's, Age of Revelation, right? That you could kill off them. They're not like central Marvel characters. No big deal. And especially once Omega Red then shows up and he's fighting them. And then Lady Phantom X shows up, and that was deep cut for me. I was like, who the hell is Lady Phantom X?
Okay, here's what I found about Lady Phantom X. Now, Phantom X has 3 brains. That's one of his things. And at one point, shenanigans resulted in each of those 3 brains getting their own cloned body. And the nicest, according to the wiki article, the nicest of those 3 brains became Lady Phantom X, a.k.a. Charlie Cluster 7. Which was a Rick Remender thing from Uncanny X-Force in 2012. So I guess she's been around in the background the whole time, and here she is.
So she's back, and basically they're fighting the Heroes for Hire, and we get, during this fight, the reveal that they are also mutated humans. So they've got mutant powers now that they're using, which explains how they could be out doing this work. And then the final member of the team
has like energy projection powers, and Colleen has... Is it supposed to be like psychic green powers? Because she gets like green energy antlers, and then energy vines come out of her. Some sort of psionic thing, I guess.
Yeah, hard to say. But the final member of the team shows up, Havoc, and it looks pretty much like the Heroes for Hire are going to get killed. But then it's revealed that they're not actually trying to kill the Heroes for Hire. They're just trying to use their injuries to draw out their actual target, who is Venom.
Which, again, I didn't really follow this. So they're after Venom. And Misty and Colleen just happen to be here, and our Sinister Six are fighting the Misty and Colleen, and they have this little noisemaker thing that also calls out Venom. I did not follow the plan. I did not understand what plan was happening.
The plan was a little wonky, for sure. But I just put it away as like Sinister told them to, hey, go track Venom to this region. So they followed their data recorder there. And then they're like, well, we got to draw him out. Who knows where he is? And then they see the Heroes for
Hire these two S.H.I.E.L.D. people.
Yeah. And they're like, okay, well, here's our plan. Injure them. Venom is probably hungry. He'll come out looking to eat.
That's not an awful plan. If that was the plan, I think it could have been explained a little better.
So anyways, they get attacked by Venom, and the team works together and subdues him. And they let Misty and Colleen leave.
Right. And they don't agree on that, but like Havoc asserts himself as the team leader and says, okay, you two just skedaddle, right? So this is a weird team. All of them we have some humans who have become mutants, like Black Cat. I guess she's the only one. And the others are mutants, but they also have effects of the virus, even though they're mutants.
So that seems to be the case, that they say the virus doesn't kill mutants, but it doesn't necessarily not have an impact on mutants. It seems like Omega Red is now terminal, like his sickness is killing him.
We call it.
Yeah, and we've seen Domino with the reverse color pattern, so I'm assuming that's the indicator that something happened to her from the virus.
We don't know if her powers are affected at all.
Yeah, Havoc himself, we learn once they go back to the Veil Sinister, which is like their headquarters. Mm-hmm. He has a son, and his son is in like a bubble kid kind of room. And I'm guessing
that was the most intriguing part of this book for me was Havoc's family.
Yeah, I'm guessing this kid is not a mutant, and they're keeping him isolated to prevent him from getting the X-Virus.
That's clearly the implication, is that he's in this sealed room. He has a robotic nanny in there, not like capital N nanny, as far as I can tell, but they use the term nanny.
Yeah, unsure. It might be, actually. So this is another thing I wanted to call out, is so this nanny that you see is the same robotic nanny that we see in Age of Apocalypse. So it's like a straight callback. Okay, and in Age of Apocalypse, there's this side story where Magneto and Rogue have a son, and it gets kidnapped by one of Apocalypse's minions.
Oh, all right.
But before the kid gets captured, it basically, like, this robotic nanny takes their kid and, like, into the sewers and tries to escape.
Okay, that's a connection I did not know about. Now, we don't know who this kid's mom is, right? And he doesn't seem that much younger than 10, so it must be that Havoc had this kid with some lady pretty shortly after where things branch off. So there's going to be a reveal at some point, I presume, about who the mom is, but that's who Havoc is here to try to save. He wants to cure the virus to keep his son safe. So this is the only book that has mutants being affected by the virus, which is not an awful idea, but that I'm only seeing it in this one book troubles me.
Yeah, I agree. I would like to see this detail expanded, right? And it might be the case that it's not well known that this is a problem yet, because it's only really like Sinister when they kind of meet up with him and he talks about it. It wouldn't even surprise me if, like, maybe they're not actually affected by the X-Virus and Sinister did some damn thing.
Right. That's the way I would story doctor this, is that, that's kind of the ending I'm hoping, is that it turns out it wasn't that Sinister says one thing about all the people on this team have had their genes messed with in the past, and like that's what provided the opening for the virus to do things to them, which is not the worst explanation, but I'm hoping it's just that actually Sinister's lying to them from the beginning, and he's just messed with them himself because he can do that, and convinced them that they need to be on his team to solve this thing that is a problem he actually caused. I think that'll be the best possible story. I don't know if that's the story we're getting, but that's what I think would be a better story.
Yeah. So we basically learned that Sinister has this base in the Appalachian Mountains, and he's been doing genetic experiments to see what's going on with this X-Virus and whether he can control it. And also, he's got these people working for him because he's dangled the carrot of, like, I'll help you with whatever your genetic problems are if you run missions for me. Mm-hmm. And so they obviously don't trust Sinister, don't particularly like him. And Havoc was on Hellions, right?
Yes.
So he's kind of been in this capacity where he worked on a team that was under Sinister before.
Well, yeah. I mean, Sinister wasn't officially in charge of that. I guess, yeah, sort of. I am curious how some of these people agreed to be on this team, especially like Domino. Domino agreeing to work for Sinister, that seems like I want to know how that happened, because that does not seem like something that should happen.
Anyways, then Sinister basically reveals to the team that the X virus wasn't launched by 3K, and he makes fun of their genetic capabilities and says he knows who really did it, and he shows the team the picture of Doug Apocalypse and says like, hey, your next mission is to go take out Doug Apocalypse.
Yeah, so that's where we end up, and that's what makes it feel like, oh, this could be super huge because this team is set out to kill the main character of this whole universe, which is not going to happen, but it could be a good story anyway.
No, he's definitely not. They're not going to succeed.
Right.
I'm not expecting that.
Hey, oh, well, I guess we're done here.
Yeah, but if we've got a book that's dealing with the X-Virus, what it's actually doing, and also another opportunity for us to see like what is Doug's actual motivation and agenda and end game.
It also
I feel like those are
wonder,
details that are useful to pick up.
Yeah, it makes me wonder, how did Doug make this virus? Because Doug is not a genetic scientist virus maker guy. So is he? It makes me think he must have been working with some, again, presuming that he did create the virus and that there's not going to be another reversal of the plot. But he must have had, it wasn't him and Bay the Blood Moon who did this. Maybe that thing that Bay knew and is telling people is the twist of who else was working with it. That could be fun. So, yeah, there's some okay ideas in here. I really like Havoc and the kid. I think that's an interesting motivation. That is something that would make him work with Sinister even when he knows better than anybody else that a Summers should not be working for Mr. Sinister. So I want to know more about that. The rest of the plot I expect to kind of go nowhere. But again, Hellions in a way went nowhere, but it went nowhere in a pretty fun way. So if it could be that fun, I'm happy for it. Doesn't seem like that much fun so far, but there's some possibilities. Having David Marquez, he seems a competent writer, which I don't mean to like belittle him by just calling him competent, but he's an artist making the transition to writer. And had I just read this, I would not have made this. I would not have said, oh, this is clearly somebody's first or second or third comic they ever wrote. It seems like a decently written comic book, so he's definitely done his homework there. But the story itself doesn't really grab me outside of Havoc's family, so I'm going to call this a 5.8 out of 10. And I'm presuming you're significantly higher.
Much higher, yeah. I'm going to give this one a 7. I didn't think it was like the greatest story I read, but it made sense in the context of Revelation. I thought the conflict level was appropriate for the story that we've been getting, and getting a little more details about the X-Virus, what Sinister's up to, especially given that like it's a genetic problem, right? And obviously you'd think Sinister would be concerned about that. And he was the central character in Age of Apocalypse. So I look for these stories to have like things that are sort of Easter eggs back Makes to sense, like that original story.
Age of Apocalypse, he starts off working for Apocalypse, but then kind of having his own, where here he's on the outside from the beginning, but is still, it's not that he thinks what Doug is doing is bad, it's just, it's bad for him, because he wants to be the one to take over the world. So, and as far as characterization, I think that works just fine.
Yeah. And the last thing I wanted to call out, just, I mentioned a moment ago, I feel like everyone's doing their new character thing. I feel like that might be a mandate for these stories. Besides the Sun, in the Veil Sinister, they're greeted by this person, I guess, who's like helping Sinister. He's like, looks a little bit like a mutant with 4 eyes. They call him Fourier. Yeah, I couldn't find any reference to him anywhere. And then I was like, is that the guy from ONE that was like questioning Storm?
There's a bunch of weird looking humanoid creatures in this facility, which I just figured was Sinister creates, monsters out of DNA. So I thought it was just one of those things.
Yeah, I didn't know if I was supposed to know who the character was, but I couldn't find him up in any sort of like
wiki. I think he's brand new. I don't know if he's meaningful, but he is the only one of those characters who gets a name, so maybe he is meaningful.
Story is definitely an essential, though. If I was being pragmatic, I would agree with you. Like, you don't have to read this to follow the main storyline. But if you like any of the characters that are in here and are interested in seeing what Sinister's up to, then it's worth picking up in my mind.
All right, sounds good. So let's move on to our next book, which is Iron and Frost, number 1 of 3. Now, Iron and Frost, to me, that sounds like the name of a store where you'd go to buy like overpriced home decorating items, like a candelabra that costs $87 that you dust once a month. You get that from Iron and Frost.
It's the pretentious restaurant I'm going to take my wife to tonight on our
there you go,
our
before
date,
the concert.
Iron and Frost.
A tasting menu at Iron and Frost.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. This is written by, is it Cavan Scott? Cavan. Pencils by Rory Coleman. Inks by both Rory Coleman and also Roberto Poggi. Colors are by Yen Nitro, who is not actually an ex-American Gladiator. I made that up. This is the second kind of relationship-focused book of the week. Very different take on the romantic relationship, not like Rogue and Gambit. Now, you'll remember, listeners, that towards the end of Krakoa, Emma and Tony had a fake marriage of convenience, but they also seemed to kind of like each other for real, maybe. And you and me, Ruben, we didn't so much care for a lot of what Jerry Duggan was doing there at the end of Krakoa, but we did like the Emma-Tony relationship. So this is a story kind of about that. We start off with a brief one-page X years later scene that is in our contemporary Cyclops going to the future time frame, and we see one of our favorites, a hashtag shadowy figure, who is obviously Emma, and she's traveling through New York following these symbols of the Hellfire Club or the Hellfire Gala. Seems that there are rumors that these symbols lead either to a cure for the virus, not the Sinister one, a different one, or maybe a sanctuary for mutants. Not sure why mutants specifically need a sanctuary. They seem to have it pretty darn good in Philadelphia. And then we flash back 4 years, so now we're at 6 years into the Age of Revelation, and this is when the X-Virus reaches the Avengers Mansion. And this is our 14-page, kind of overlong action scene.
Well, here's my sanctuary commentary.
Go for it.
Maybe Philadelphia is the only place that's got an organized government anymore, and everything else is just kind of left to its own situation. So every city might be different. There's no government here in New York anymore then.
Right. Maybe Doug only cares about his own home base. But now we're on the edge, and as the Revelation territory virus effect creeps outward, I guess Doug's also sending some of his seraphs to go and just take over. So we have an extended fight scene between some of these seraphs and some of what's left of the Avengers. So fighting for the Avengers, we have Iron Man, Tony Stark. We have War Machine, James Rhodey Rhodes. We have Firestar, Angelica Jones. And we have Emma Frost, the White Queen. On Team Dougie, we have Phaser, who is Christian Cord. This is a Grant Morrison character last seen, as far as I can tell, in 2009. He has ultraviolet light projection powers. He has a whole complicated thing where he lost his powers, and I guess he's gotten them back because he's using them here. We have Carmela Unacioni, and I said that probably a little too Italian. This is a Scott Lobdell character from the 1990s, last seen in X-Men Blue shortly before the start of the Krakoan era, and she has like psionic bioelectrical powers. And we've got Marrow, also a 1990s character, but one who's, more prominent than the others. She was part of that Realm of X team very late in Krakoan era. She has creepy bone powers and also 2 hearts, which is convenient. So these two sides are fighting. The Avengers are also trying to protect a pair of civilians, a little mutant girl named Eris, and I guess she had just become made a mutant by the virus, and Eris's human mother, who doesn't live long enough to get a name. Somehow, I guess the kid was exposed to the virus, but not the mom, because the mom's wearing this gas masking to block out the virus. Carmela knocks her down, knocks that mask off. R.I.P. Mom. The kid Eris gets pissed off and uses her geology powers to murder Carmela with pointy rocks, also destabilizing the ground. Emma gets stabbed by Marrow right through the heart. The earth opens up around the mansion. Mansion falls into a sinkhole. Marrow falls into the sinkhole, gets badly injured. Emma falls into the sinkhole, and she has the presence of mind to turn into her diamond form, saving her life from both the fall and the Marrow stabbing. And that was kind of neat, because so for the rest of this story, unless there's some cure that happens, Emma is basically the Tin Man, right? She's in this hardened form, so she can't physically be injured. But in this form, she has no emotions, and she can't turn back into her human form because she has no heart, literally. So she's kind of the Iron Man in this situation. So I thought that as a story idea, as a character idea, I thought that was an interesting twist. What did you think about that?
I thought it was cool. I mean, the look is kind of bizarre, but I also like the fact that she can't use her psychic power to verify the identity of anybody. So later we have an Iron King character, and I'm like, I don't know if this is actually Tony.
Mm-hmm. So Tony starts looking around for Emma, can't find her, and they do this bioscan, but because she's in a diamond form, they can't find her that way either. Tony does find Marrow, and he basically murders her right then and there, just smashes right through her chest, killing her. I thought that was kind of extreme. Emma's trapped under the rubble. They can't find her, so the Avengers fly off. Tony vows to return later to look for Emma, or even Emma's corpse. We cut back to 10 years later, and I guess Tony never returned. Must have gotten busy. Emma had to dig herself out, stuck in that diamond form. And we don't know what she's been up to since crawling out of that hole, but now she crawls right back into that hole, because this is where she's heard is that mutant sanctuary or the cure or whatever is going on here. The kid Eris, now older, is the first to find her. She calls herself Rockslide now, so she gets Emma trapped in some rocks. And on that final page, we have somebody who
Landslide is what they call it. She goes by Landslide.
Landslide. Sorry, not Rockslide.
Rockslide was the, yeah.
Right. Thank you. So, although she does have Rockslide kind of powers, basically. Or Richter, maybe. But
she's an incredibly innovative new character that's deserving of surviving after the Age of Revelation as a new
breakout character.
Character,
for
yes.
Sure. Why not? Tony shows back up. We think it's Tony. From the neck down, he looks like your standard Iron Man in the red and yellow armor. From the neck up, he has a face that's shaped like a human face, like Tony's own face with the mustache and goatee and everything, but with rivets and like it's made of pieces of metal. So this could be either, well, he has a different helmet that looks like his face, or that he was exposed to the virus and now he got mutated into this Iron King. I'm just making stuff up. What do you think is going on here?
I think we're going to get a reveal that this isn't Tony Stark in the end. And that's going to be the shocking plot twist.
Okay.
Yeah. But I do think that it looks like Tony Stark. It looks like Tony was exposed and transformed into being a mutant. But I think they're going to explain the whole like he never came back point because he was like actually killed and this is somebody that like usurped him. And
that's a
Emma
possibility.
won't know because
she
she can't like use her psychic power to verify.
I'm going to think it is going to be Tony because I do think that this book is probably about the relationship between the two of them, and I think they want both characters to actually be here, even if they're both horribly changed by their experiences and living in this world. But it could be. We're left at a complete cliffhanger, no explanation, so presumably in the first couple pages of the next issue, we'll know what's going on. This book has, I think, one pretty decent idea, Emma Frost as the Tin Man or Iron Man. Everything around that idea leaves me kind of not so excited. The other characters are very flat, just a means to an end of getting Emma and Tony in whatever position they're in. So if this relationship part gets developed more, I'll enjoy that. But everything else, I don't really see this as being that exciting. So I guess I'm going to give Iron and Frost #1 a 6 out of 10. It's fine, very skippable if you don't want to buy this whole thing. How about you?
Yeah, I agree. It's kind of skippable. I was a big fan of the Emma Frost Tony Stark relationship, so this is delivering something for me. Like I enjoy them revisiting that.
Yeah,
and it's at least taking place in the Revelation territories, which is good, and it kind of explains why the Avengers aren't saving the day in this case because they're not really existing anymore. So
there is another book coming up that actually has Avengers on the team, but I don't think we get there. I don't think it's even next week. I think that's in a couple weeks from now.
Yeah. So I didn't think it was the greatest thing ever, but when I first was reading these 4 books, this was the one that I felt was like the most accessible, and I was just like, okay, this is fine. So 6.5 for me. Not great.
6.5
skippable, but I don't think it's bad.
Okay, fair enough.
Can we pause really quick? I need to run to the restroom.
Sure thing. That was Iron and Storm, and I did look it up. X-Vengers does come out. The #1 issue hits October 29th, right before Halloween. So that is when we actually get to see what the Avengers are up to. That is written by Jason Liu of Dazzler fame. So we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. But right now, we are crossing one more bridge this week into
Can I ask
Rogue
you a question
Storm,
about that?
#1 of
my interest.
3. What was that, Ruben?
You piqued my interest with
Avengers?
Jason Liu.
Okay.
Yes. What's the over-under on Out and Proud being mentioned in that issue?
I don't see Dazzler on the cover. I mean, any of the characters could be like humming it to themselves the entire time. So
I have a feeling it's going to show up.
Could be. There's nothing, again, from the first solicit about any kind of a musical tie-in, but could be. But this week, we got Rogue Storm #1 of 3, which is for sure the wackiest book of this week. It is written by Murewa Ayodele, who is, of course, the writer of Storm and will be the writer of that new version of Storm going forward. Art by Roland Boschi, who I was not familiar with. Colors by Neeraj Menon. And letters by Travis Lanham. And right now, I know we're going to hand it over to you, Ruben, but I got a rant about the lettering of this book because, oh my God, why is it so difficult to read? He chose this font. I have no idea what to call it. It's like it's a handwriting kind of font, but it's like the person may have been slightly drunk when they were handwriting things. Everything's kind of hard to read. And it's not even like, okay, make one character talk like this, and he's got a strange voice, he talks unusual. Everything in this book is written in the same completely odd, difficult to read font. So right away, I want to dock at a couple points just because it annoys me to read. Am I overselling this, or is it that bad a choice?
I didn't notice the font.
Oh man!
But I'm gonna look. I mean, maybe I was just sort of, the first time I read this, I was just like, "What the hell is going on in this story?" And I was
points
just so
for wackiness, points for going
just
for it.
so like weirded out by everything that was happening that the font was the least of my problems. But
fair enough.
I've one of my skills in life is reading people with really bad handwriting, and that's not even a joke. Like I've got there's a partner, more senior partner that when I was an associate was like notorious for illegible handwriting, and I would just get people, including his secretary, always just like bringing me his writing and just saying like, what the hell is he saying in this? And I could always translate it.
Well, this book was made for you, Ruben.
Yes, exactly.
So tell us about it.
Yeah, so I'm gonna do the patented Weird Joseph X like resequencing of the chronology.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's what we do.
Because it jumps around all over the place, and that was part of my confusion reading it the first time. I'm like, what?
Which is what Iodeli does in Storm as well, so we should be used to it.
Well, I never got used to it. Still not really used to it, but I think that by the third time I read this, it made more sense to me. So the earliest thing that happens would be 2 years into the Age of Revelation, and there we find out that the collector of the Elders of the Universe had kidnapped the Outliers, although we don't see them on the screen, but it mentions like he kidnapped some people under Rogue's
okay.
custody.
I didn't know who it was. It says they
must be the Outliers.
Some people Rogue was in charge of.
Outliers. Yeah. There we go. I always mispronounce that. Anyways, Outliers. Somebody that she's protecting. And so she goes to rescue them. And in the conflict with the collector, she gets shot with some beam that splits her into Rogue Green and Rogue Red.
Very much red and blue Superman kind of situation. Except
correct.
It seems that Rogue Green has all the powers and Rogue Red has none of them.
Yes. Rogue Green is like basically the normal Rogue, and Rogue Red is I don't know what. The memories, but nothing else, right?
Yeah, I guess not technically a human, because then she'd have to worry. Well, we don't know if she goes to Revelation territory, so we don't know if she's exposed to the virus. But Green is the full-on, all the powers. Red is none of the powers. They seem to get along great with each other, right? They're flying around together.
Yeah,
and,
but eventually...
Yeah, go ahead.
Eventually, between year 2 and year 5, Rogue Red is feeling left out because Gambit is only interested in Rogue Green.
Which I did not buy for a second. I mean, come on. This is Gambit. He's going to say, I have 2 copies of my sexy wife, and I have all these sexy clothes in her armoire, and I'm going to reject one of them? No. More the merrier is what my man Gambit would say. So, clearly, what I'm picturing is sometimes in the X Slack or whatever they use, both Iodele and Gail Simone wanted to use the character of Rogue, and so this is what they came up with. It does feel like it's made up just to solve an out-of-universe problem, not that it was done for in-universe reasons. At least that's how it seems to me.
So Rogue Red leaves Haven House, and she's feeling sad, so she goes to hang out with Storm on the Storm Sanctuary. And
yes, it really leads into them being best buds here.
And they become best buds, yeah. And in part of this, Storm forges a pair of Anesium brass knuckles out of her god armor.
Right.
And Anesium I don't think has existed before. So it's a synthesis of like Mysterium and everything else, that adamantium and vibranium
and Mysterium. Oh my. I'm just happy somebody remembered that Mysterium exists, so that's fine. They're brass knuckles, but also with like spikes on the outside. You would not want to be punched by one of these.
Yeah,
things.
Supposedly they are like better than everything. And if you get hit by these, it's like you had been hit by Rogue with her strength before. But even though she doesn't actually have that strength, you just don't want to get hit by these brass knuckles.
It was okay when Aurora mentions, oh yeah, I know what it's like to have your powers stripped away, right? Because of course she had that famous plot, time in the plot when she didn't have her storm powers. So okay, that's fine. And now we skip forward, don't we?
Yeah, so then we skip to the 5-year period. And this is where it's like, what the hell's going on here? So we find out that Storm is frozen in the Sahara Desert in Egypt, and she's also shackled in some sort of I don't know, Fortress of Solitude like structure.
Yeah, she seems to have totally lost her mind. We don't know why, we don't know how, but she is chained up inside this kind of jagged ice crystal pyramid, and the whole place is being guarded by the 4 giant kaiju robot storm engines. Still don't know what the hell those are. We know they're connected with that power plant that exploded in issue 1 of Storm, but where they came from, who made them, nobody knows.
And it looks like the U.S. military had attacked the Storm Sanctuary at some place, because we see a lot of like U.S.
corpses
and wrecked
stuff.
Yeah. So unclear what's going on there. And then a bunch of mutants show up through gateway teleporting portals, riding something that I'm going to call battle beasts, but I don't know what the hell they are.
I was wondering if they're related to werewolves. They're giant kind of rhino-looking things. They have scales, they have a tail, they have a rhino horn, they have like artillery mounted to their shoulders, but people also ride them, and all they seem to say is war. So are these aliens? Are these something else? It's not even mentioned. They're just kind of there.
Or why they would want to fight with Storm. I'm very confused.
Yeah, what's their grudge? Are they just getting paid for this? Are they animals? Are they sentient? Don't know.
So anyways, you have Rogue Red riding one of them, and her team is Warpath, Gateway, Iceman, Phantom X, and a new character, Akujin.
Mm-hmm. I have something to add here, because she looks like Spiral, right? That multi-armed character associated with Mojo. And in the solicits, it said that Spiral was on the team, where here it says Akujin, which is a Japanese word meaning something like evil spirit. And I'm wondering
maybe it was Spiral, and then Hickman pulled rank and was like, no,
I'm using Spiral over for long shots.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't really matter who this is. This character, at least in this issue, is just kind of random person fighting in the background. So already drawn with multiple arms, so we can't say it's an existing character who doesn't have multiple arms, but let's just slap on a different name. So either this is, maybe they'll reveal that it is Spiral, but that you went by this name. And again, we're only at 5 years into the future, so maybe at the time period that Hickman's using her, it could be perfectly fine. Who the hell knows?
Or maybe Spiral got shot with the same ray that the Collector had. And one personality is Akujin, the other one is Spiral
Red, Spiral Green. Why not?
So then the most of this is just a big, violent, presumably intending to be shocking fight scene. So they ride their battle beasts into the desert, they confront the storm engines, and there's like a shared operating system that's like a Diamond Angel thing.
Yes, so we have multiple storm engines, and 2 of them actually get defeated or blown up, which is pretty big. They also have this kind of angel-looking thing that calls itself the operating system and consciousness of all the storm engines, which is weird that you'd put that person right in the middle of the fight, right?
I know.
It's like, oh, here's the one place that you could defeat me with one blow. I'd put that person behind the front lines. That's just me. But they put this person right, or this entity right out in the battle. And what happens to this?
So it manages to show up and it kills Gateway. So yes. we get our
R.I.P. Gateway
moment.
Raise the stakes. Character dead.
And then the characters tell Rogue Red that you don't have any powers, you need to escape, you're going to get killed. And she puts on her what was that term?
Brass knuckles,
they're brass knuckles, yeah. But what's the metal? Enesium. Her Enesium brass knuckles.
It's alloy of all the magic metals.
And she Rock'em Sock'em Robots punches off the head of the operating system.
We see the head fly off. This is a wacky book. We get the sound effect, or the notation, decapitating uppercut right there. We know that Iodele loves these crazy name your
and we see that throughout here. We have all these scenes in this fight where you just get named.
You get a dodge, statements. You get a burst, you get a twirl, and you get a decapitating uppercut.
So anyways, they kill the Guardians, and in theory, they should then be able to storm into the Storm Sanctuary and kill her, because that's their stated objective.
Right, because they took out this angel thing, all the other kaiju just depower and just kind of keel over.
But we don't see that. Then the story jumps forward to the present, X years later, and now we see a person who's identified as Primal Storm. And she's riding a hippopotamus, and she's in Osun Osogobo Sacred Grove, Nigeria.
Which is a real place. It's like a world historical, religious site for people from this part of the world. So it is as a real thing. I haven't seen pictures of it, but I presume these images are based on actual photographs.
So she goes into this river, swims into like an underwater tunnel, and she comes out in like an underwater cave, and there's some fish people there, and she kills them. And then there's some statement about how if you come for the king, you better not miss. Like, not exactly that, but It's that idea, right? Like the rogue team came to try to kill Storm, they failed, and now Storm is Primal Storm, and she's hunting down the people that were hunting her, I guess.
I guess we don't know, because we skipped those 5 years. We don't know what these unfortunate fish people have to do with anything. Well, the only words we get from Storm here, in the whole book really, is at the end she says, "Where are the murderers you shelter?" So are Rogue Red and the rest of the Uncanny X-Force hiding here? Have they already been taken care of?
Yeah, that's my guess. They're hiding here. I don't know why they came here. I don't know why these fish people would be sheltering them. Mm-hmm. This Primal Storm character reminds me a lot of Kratos from like the PlayStation games, God of War.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't read this as being, it says the Primal Storm. I read that as just an adjective describing plain old Storm, but maybe she's been transformed somehow. We don't know. Last we saw, she was all apparently crazed and chained up inside her own fortress, and now she's running around or riding a hippo around Africa, killing fish dudes. So again, give Iodeli major props for going for it, right? He's not holding back. He's writing a comic book. He wants wacky comic book things to happen, but I need some explanation of how any of these scenes are connected.
Yeah. I mean, in the next 2 issues, we'll maybe get some more flashbacks of the missing time periods, but it seems really disconnected. And the first time I read this, I was like, this is just complete garbage. Like,
we don't know so much.
It's the same problem I've had with
Iodeli. We don't know how Storm went crazy in the first place. We don't know how she stopped being crazy. We don't know what happened when our band entered the sanctuary. We don't know who the fish people are. We don't know
why Rogue Red wants to kill Storm instead of trying to like help her become not crazy.
Right. We don't know any of that backstory.
I don't know why Phantom X is working with this team.
Right.
Or Warpath. I don't know why Gateway is not with Banshee and team.
Too many mysteries, right? If it was just the mystery of, we thought they were going to kill Storm, and then 5 years later, Storm is running around looking for revenge, that could be a cool mystery. But so many other mysteries pile upon mysteries, it's just a mess for me. Also, what did you think of the art style in this book? Because it is very unusual for a Marvel comic.
Yeah, I didn't like it the first time I read it, but the first time I looked at it, admittedly, I looked at it on my cell phone through guided view, and it was like just bad. But then I read it later, like full page, like the way it was intended on like a tablet, and I thought it was okay. It's very cartoony, but I'm okay with it.
Part, the last part with the hippo, that looked kind of neat. I thought this as a style art worked for that very sedate moment of her riding a hippopotamus down into the water. That looked really cool. But the action scene, I did not think looked good. I think the proportions look weird.
There's just a lot of stuff that looks like she's
like a munchkin. Everything is kind of, the proportions are off, and it didn't feel dynamic. It just felt kind of oddly sketchy and ill-proportioned to me.
The hippo thing, I know we've seen Storm with hippos on her sanctuary.
Loves the hippos.
But the idea that you could train a hippo to ride it into battle,
she's the goddess Storm, the greatest goddess who's ever lived.
But I was like, is she now Aquaman, except she only speaks to hippos and can coordinate them?
That's what the virus gave her, this new power. She can she commands hippopotamuses.
Yeah. So there's just a lot of stuff that looks cool but makes no sense to me. Now, what elevates my score on this a tiny little bit is it makes sense. Like once you break it into the 3 sections, and I'm gonna give Iodeli like the benefit of the doubt that he'll fill in these blanks, and maybe it'll all come together as an interesting story. But also the teaser is that we're going to see Sad Gambit show up in the next issue of this to try to talk to Rogue Red. And so this idea of like, okay, this is like a bonkers story, but maybe it's going to play with like another series that we're reading.
Okay.
Might make it a little bit more interesting. And this idea of like, well, maybe it actually isn't just like that the rogues were split to like allow both writers to use the character. And instead, it might be like maybe Unbreakable Gambit is going to try to like bring Storm back through like reintegration with Rogue Red or something like that.
now that you mention it, that is the kind of crossover we have seen before, where we had Storm show up in Uncanny X-Men, right, when she had that thing going on with Logan. So I guess Iodele and Gail Simone might work well together, so maybe there'll be a fun crossover. I look forward to that, but in this issue, I'm pretty low.
I'm not going to go crazy. I'm going to go to a 5.5, but
okay.
That's a 5.5 of me, like, kind of laugh. Like, I kind of want to read the next one just because it's so stupidly bonkers. Not because I actually think it's a good story, but because I just want to kind of think, like, what kind of nonsense are we going to have?
I'm a little lower.
Next.
I'm at a 4.5. And again, I did not care for the art in the first 3/4 of the book at all. I found the font itself just so difficult to read. And I just thought the wackiness was just, it wasn't so much fun wackiness. It was just wackiness for wackiness sake. And I kind of got knocked out of it. So maybe the Gambit bit will make it make more sense, but that's where I am for now. Okay, let's wrap this thing up. Next week, we have 4 more number ones, Ruben. Go figure. We have X-Men Book of Revelation number 1. That's a Jed MacKay book, so we should get some interesting insight as to what Doug has going on. We have Omega Kids number 1. That's the Quentin Quire book. We have Radioactive Spider-Man number 1, written by Joe Kelly, so we'll see what happens when Peter Parker gets turned into a mutant. And we have The Last Wolverine number 1, written by Saladin Ahmed, when we see what happens when Kid Wendigo gets all grown up. So that's all I have to say for today. Ruben, anything you want to add before we get the heck out of here?
Are we sure that Spider-Man is Peter Parker?
I'm not sure anything anymore, Ruben. It could be Storm for all I know, or it could be another version of Rogue
Storm
Spider-Man.
Green. No, I was just wondering if we haven't seen Nightcrawler yet. I've been looking into all these like issues, and I'm like, where the heck's Nightcrawler? Yeah. And then I was like, well, he was Spider-Man for a while during the end of.
He was the Uncanny Spider-Man.
Yeah, so I was like, maybe this is going to be him again.
Well, we'll find out in a couple days, I guess. And until then, Ruben, what can our lovely listeners who have all split themselves into red and blue versions do with their week?
Read more X-Men comics.
You are all weirdos.
Weird science is the revolution. Weird science is the revolution.